Welcome back to the show, everybody. We got a good one lined up for you today. Maybe great, but that's up to you. What I can say is we are going to talk about XRP on the road to be a world reserve bridge currency. Yeah, that's what we're talking about today. And you know what? It's 62 cents, and we're going to talk about it anyway. I don't want to talk about it after it happened. I want to talk about it while it's on the way to happening. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on Twitter and YouTube for exclusive content. Right now, it is $2.72 trillion market cap for crypto. The market is up 2.6%. 67,900 plus for Bitcoin right now. 3,900 plus for Ethereum. $101.2 billion market cap for Tether. XRP is 62 cents at the number 7 spot. Up 0.7 on the 24-hour and up 6.1 on the 7-day. Let's look at the range of price very quickly this morning here. It is 62 cents, and we are seeing 0.6194 on the bottom and 0.6392 on the top. So we're sitting about smack dab in the middle here. Let's get to this. Now, you guys know we cover Link2 on here in the best private equity in the world, but I want you to hear what this special is because I've never seen a special like this before. This is a 24-hour special starting right now today at 8 a.m. Pacific time, which is 9 to 11 o'clock Eastern time. Bitcoin reward for Link2 members with Uphold wallets linked to their Link2 accounts. Listen to this. Investments in Uphold, Circle, Chainalysis, iTrust, and Ripple only. Now look at this deal. You get $500 worth of Bitcoin for orders between 5 and 10,000, $1,000 worth of Bitcoin back for orders between 10,000 and 25,000, and get $2,500 worth of Bitcoin for orders between 25 and 50,000, and get $5,000 worth of Bitcoin back for orders of 50,000 and over. And also $750 Bitcoin back for our $7,500 crypto investment bundle, which is Ripple, Circle, and Uphold together. And then you have 10,000 maximum reward per investor. I don't know if it gets any better than this. I mean, if you ever wanted evidence that a company is really tied to their customer base, trying to do everything in the world for you, it's Link2. Click the link to the sponsor below, and don't forget this fact. You've been listening to this for years. There's so many of you out here that are like, I don't have it, I can't do it. You know what? You would be shocked to find out just how easy it is to sign up and register and get qualified. It is not a hard process. It really isn't. Trust, prove it to yourself. Click the link and go sign up at Link2 and get started today. Now, we know we did the prices and all of that. Let's get to this because John Deaton is running, baby. And I want to tell you, there was the State of the Union last night, and I happened to be in D.C. last night as well while that was happening. And thank goodness we got the hell out of town right before it started. The traffic was insane. But I want to touch on this because, you know, there was the claim about canceling student debt and then this, that, and the other. And I say, you know what? And then she goes on to say here that it's been a life-changing presidency, and it sure has, because now our children have more debt on their backs than ever before. Careful breaking your arm, patting yourself on the backs out there. Let's vote for John Deaton, right? Let's get some real leadership out there. That's what we need. And you know what? Let me do this too, because I want to go here and show you this as well, because this is the kind of dirty politics I believe is taking place now inside of Massachusetts. This is a gentleman who is weighing the option of running for a Republican bid against Elizabeth Warren too. And you know what this is? This is nothing more than a Democrat plant posing as a Republican. Just like Nikki Haley was posing as a Republican, but was really backed by the Democratic Party, right? She was a plant. And this guy's no different here in Massachusetts. And the reality is, he doesn't have what John Deaton has. John Deaton is a proven leader, and he's done it on the world stage, and we've all already seen it, right? What we know is he's a great fit for Massachusetts. And what I also know is either directly or indirectly, I believe this gentleman right here to be a plant suggested to run by Elizabeth Warren to try to cause some confusion for a real leader like John Deaton. But you know what? We can smell and see a wolf in sheep's clothing, I believe is the phrase. Massachusetts residents deserve a proven leader. Then I want to share this with you real quick here. Depository Trust Clearing Company and the Bank of China. This says here from BondCrypt Digital Asset Advocate here, scrutinize and observe when the Depository Trust Company will be closing these trades, specifically on March 8, 2024. He goes on to say, this could mean one thing. Are they about to back their currency with gold? Now, I don't see any direct evidence there other than he's right that it says effective with this close of business March 8th. Industrial Commercial Bank of China Financial Services will retire the following additional account. Now, I don't know if that qualifies it to back their currency by gold. I think it might be him speculating here that something could be happening. Maybe it's they're changing accounts to something that's more appropriate for the digital transition that's happening, or maybe it's just some other benign reason. But I brought it on to show us because we do want to pay attention and see if there's any significant change in March 8th to align with that idea and what that speculative thought could be. So we'll keep an eye on what happens today if we get any more news on it. And then there's this, which is ISDA, the International Swaps Derivatives Association, which, if you remember, Ripple is joined and a partner of. But in this particular post, they're talking about India's economy is projected to be the world's third largest by 2030. Yet OTC derivatives market remains small. Recommendations focus on product development, market access, and ensuring safe growth aligned with global standards. Emphasis on harmonizing rules for interest rates and credit derivatives and enhancing market access through educational initiatives. So I brought this up because of ISDA. We know Ripple is a part of ISDA to help settle that $2+ quadrillion worth of derivatives. And they're speaking directly about India's economy and how it could be the third world's largest big economy by 2030. Well, then I wanted to go back and bring this up for anybody who's forgotten. Back in July of 2018, ladies and gentlemen, Ripple says it's likely to capture 50% of the market in India. This was Ashish Birla at the time, you could see right here, who was the vice president of the product at the time. We look early on at India, and he says, and we looked at 2 billion people, a huge market, and we decided, how do you get 2 billion people onto Ripple? Do we give the currency away to every Indian? That's like 2 billion. Just give it away? That's one idea. But then we realized that if you get the top 3 banks in India onto Ripple, you get 80% of the market share. This is why Ripple is an enterprise-facing company and not a consumer-facing one. And then we looked at, where's the future? And so we realized in the next 5 years, 1 billion people will become banked in India, but they'll be banked through their phone. So then we started targeting mobile phone providers and telcos. And so now I think that in our pipeline, we have probably 50% of the market in India, either integrated onto Ripple or in the deal, in the sort of pipeline to be signed to India. And guess what? We're going to take that back to Wells Fargo. We're going to say there's no better way to send into India than Ripple. Because again, it's about network effects. And if we can do that in India, we can do that in Brazil, we can do that in all the emerging markets, and I think it's going to be really hard. I mean, we won't take no for an answer, and we're going to continue to build the network until it's so valuable that there's no choice for Wells Fargo to join. And that's 2018. So are we at 80% now of what will be the third largest economy in the world by 2030 in the next 6 years? Clarity, legislative, regulatory clarity on the national level and on the global level is going to set this thing off. Major private Indian bank partners with Ripple and cross-border remittances. Just showing you. The links are there, right? Just showing you. Now, let's go to something back here in the States. And I think Senator Cynthia Lummis here is going to say it quite well and highlight the fact that the Federal Reserve does not need to introduce a CBDC because it would be like the Chinese yuan. And I really do appreciate her making that known and striking that down so we don't have that here in the United States. Take a listen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome. It's nice to see you, Mr. Powell. My first question is about CBDCs. There's been some chatter lately on the social media that people are concerned about the Fed creating a CBDC without legislative authorization. You and I have discussed that before, and as you know, there are other means other than a CDBC that could use digital assets to create a secure and instant payment system other than a CDBC. So the question is this: do you still agree that the Federal Reserve cannot introduce a U.S. central bank digital currency without congressional authorization?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. That's really calms people's fears, the people who are concerned that we could end up with something like the digital yuan that is used as a means of surveillance. So I think that will calm some of those discussions down. Thank you so much.
I do appreciate her really getting Jerome Powell to confirm that they can't do it without Congress's approval, and we don't want Congress to give them the approval. And if Congress does give the approval of it, I want to see Congress give the approval to do a CBDC on the wholesale back end that they can use between other central banks, not for us, right? Not for us. So and we could discuss 100 other different outcomes and options too, but that's just my thought on that today. And obviously you guys know stablecoin, this is what Chad Steingraber says here. He says a reaffirmation that a U.S. CBDC will not happen unless Congress passes approval. Stablecoin law, hello USDC, aka BlackRock's money as a de facto digital dollar. You know, it's Goldman Sachs and Circle that are USDC, right? I mean, we're going to see, but I think a retail-facing digital dollar under prudential regulation is exactly where we need to be a leader in this space. And to be truthful, 99% of all transactions in the digital space are happening with a digital dollar of some sort, whether it's USDC or USD Tether. So the reality is the US dollar is the leader in the digital market for transaction settlement at the moment. What's missing is the prudential regulation to put the crown on its head. That's what's missing. And I showed this yesterday, and I don't need to show it again. Calvin Hill is his name, and you should be following him on TikTok from the Power of Publish 2.0. I love Calvin's energy, and he's super smart. I'm not on TikTok anymore, but I know he's great, and he gives great content. But what I want to say is, shout out to Mike Jansen for giving me his name. I could not remember his name yesterday. Thank you, Mike. But he talked about ETFs, Bitcoin spot ETFs, and how they're soaking up the digital assets off of the exchanges. And then I was like, hey, wait a minute. You know, this reminds me of the Shane Ellis theory, but a more kind of dressed down way, not a deliberate just coming in and buying the assets off the exchanges. It's for a reason. They're coming in, the institutions are coming in and buying the assets off the exchanges for their clients in this ETF, spot ETF funds, right? Well, this could be a more formal version of Shane Ellis theory. And why couldn't it work? We're seeing it work for Bitcoin, aren't we? So then I said, why don't I ask Grok what's going on here? I asked Grok, the artificial intelligence of X, I said, could XRP ETFs serve to support the Shane Ellis theory that all XRP could be bought up off the exchanges and consequently drive XRP price up? I'm going to give this to you exactly the way Grok gave it to me. The Shane Ellis theory suggests that a series of events could lead to a rapid increase in the price of XRP. One of the factors mentioned in the theory is the introduction of XRP-based exchange-traded funds. I want to be clear right now, it does not say that in the original Shane Ellis theory. It talks about the institutions and banks literally coming to the secondary market and buying up all of the XRP, loose liquidity XRP off of the exchanges in stair steps of prices, buying up the order books, driving XRP to $10, $50, $500, or whatever price they would need it for the level of liquidity to do payments. I'm going to go on and pick back up on the reading now. So it goes on to say here, an XRP ETF would allow investors to gain exposure to the price of XRP without actually owning the cryptocurrency. This could lead to increased demand for XRP as it would make it easier for institutional investors to invest in the cryptocurrency. If the demand for XRP increases significantly due to the introduction of an ETF, it could potentially lead to a situation where all the XRP available in exchanges is bought up, driving the price up. However, this is a speculative scenario. Yes, it is. And there is no guarantee that an XRP ETF would have such a dramatic impact on price of XRP. Again, I want to interject what we're seeing with Bitcoin, and Bitcoin doesn't have the use case utility and the practicality when it comes to making payments, but XRP does. Now, we know we need some clarity, and we also need to finish the last leg of the actual Ripple case as well. So with those things, let me read the last part here. It is also worth noting that the SEC is yet to approve an XRP ETF, and the outcome of the ongoing lawsuit between Ripple and the SEC will play a likely significant role in determining whether an ETF is approved in the future. This is absolutely true here. Again, ETFs are not mentioned in the theory of Shane Ellis theory, so Grok got it wrong on that. However, and my memory serves me right anyway, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't remember that being the case. But nevertheless, it does, if you think about the impact Bitcoin has, spot ETFs have had on the price, and knowing that people aren't generally using that to make payments because it's very expensive to make payments. It's also takes a lot of time to settle those transactions. So looking at this and the practicality for use in the system, give us the clarity that allows XRP to be used by the banking financial system to move and settle value where applicable, and then introduce XRP ETFs for those same institutions. And I step back and say to myself, let's watch and see what happens then, right? Why would that be any different than what we're seeing right now with Bitcoin spot ETFs? Why? And if it would be different, would it be different in that it would be even quicker the way it's happening because of the demand to make payments with it? It's so practical and efficient. Then I want to bring that to this. Why is it so important to have an XRP ETF? Well, I think for one, we're going to see thousands of them in crypto at some point. And you'll see all kinds of combinations of them, index funds, baskets of different cryptos together. All that stuff's going to come, I believe, a real healthy, mature market with so many different options and choices of products. But what would be a better way to drive liquidity onto a network than to help the ISDA Association, the International Swaps Derivative Association, and the Depository Trust Clearing Corporation to settle the 2 quadrillion plus in derivatives contracts and have all the institutions buy up the XRP off the exchanges to support and back the ETF, spot ETF XRP funds once they are out? This kind of demand would create the level of liquidity needed to really experience the benefits of the utility and efficiency, the safety and scalability and interoperability of the XRP ledger. And why would they do any of this at all? Because 2 world reserve currencies can exist at the same time, and it has in the past. And as I've said, I don't believe XRP was created just for payments. I believe XRP and the XRP ledger was created because they know that the dollar is going to run into the same problem that every other national currency has run into when it has also served as a world reserve currency. There is a life expectancy between 80 to 110 years. Out of the last 5 currencies, 2 of which have had a life expectancy of 80 years. The US dollar started being the world reserve currency in 1944. It's 2024. That was 80 years ago. So I'm not suggesting that this will happen next Tuesday, but what I am suggesting, and you don't have to take it and do anything with it, but what I believe, since before I was a YouTuber in this space, when I found it, that XRP is designed to be introduced as a bridge currency to the world to help understand and accept the spillover shocks because of all the money printing and the exhaustion of a national currency dollar serving as a world reserve currency dollar. Now, with that being said, I want to say a thing or two here really quickly. I'm an American patriot, and I want to see the US dollar remain dominant. And I believe that it can do so if done the right way. It can remain dominant even with XRP serving as a bridge currency. And who knows, if the Fed ends up making a wholesale CBDC on the back end and we stay with a retail stable coin on the front end, like a USDC under prudential regulation for all of us to use, who knows? Maybe someday we get enough utility and liquidity on that network that XRP itself becomes that wholesale CBDC on the back end. I'm going to leave this with you, which is David Schwartz's version of his dream scenario, which is not too different from my own. Congratulations are in order to Ripple for joining ISDA, the International Swaps and Derivatives Association, bringing together a derivatives market. One
what he announced. Again, shout out to the site.
ledger. Let me get to this.
Exist world reserve currencies to simultaneously exist.
I do, and I think that could happen. I think it's quite realistic that a lot of the world is just done with the dollar as their reserve currency. Like every nation would love for their currency to be the world reserve currency. That's helped the U.S., that's grown the U.S. economy, quote unquote, unfairly by leaps and bounds for decades. And every other country would be like, yeah, we'd like to have the world be the world's reserve currency. But the only countries that could possibly pull it off is the U.S. holding its position, maybe the EU, maybe Russia, maybe one or two others. But realistically, most countries know that if there's going to be a new world reserve currency that's a country's currency, it's not going to be them. And so they might actually prefer a currency that nobody can control to one that's controlled by their largest geopolitical rivals. And so that's like what I think is the biggest possible success scenario for digital assets. If these countries are like, okay, well, the U.S. dollar can't hold on forever, but it's not going to be our currency because no one's going to want to repeat the U.S. dollar scenario. Nobody but the EU wants the EU to replace the dollar, right? Nobody but Russia wants the ruble to replace the dollar. Nobody but China wants the yuan to replace the dollar. So maybe they could settle on a currency that nobody could control rather than one controlled by their most powerful geopolitical rival. So if you want a success scenario, that's the one that I think is the most likely.
But the more you get everybody to agree.
Well, here's the part that I'll step in. How do you get everybody to agree? The same thing I've been saying since I found this in 2017. You give them some. You pre-allocate XRP to other nations. You formulate you get a formula that works based on their GDP or whatever and their growth, and you give everybody some. And why would they take it? Because we're not creating the replication of the fiat paper world in the digital world. It doesn't make any sense. Why would you recreate the paper friction world in the digital world? You haven't solved anything. You're missing the greatest opportunity. In fact, the greatest lesson learned from the birth of the internet is that they forgot to build tokens for TCP/IP. What would those tokens be worth today if they created a token for the freaking internet? How much would those tokens be worth based on the information moving across that network? And don't be surprised one day if they create a paper market for that very thing. These are layer one protocols that are moving value around the world. Think of it. It would be a crime for them to miss this opportunity. Never let a good crisis go to waste, so you can introduce a new money to the world. Not a conflated money, a new money. Not because somebody swung a gavel and said it's money, but because there's enough liquidity and utility on the network that you can't deny that it's money. And if you give everybody around the world who's a meaningful player some, it's going to be money because it's money for everybody. And you know how this works. It ain't money unless everybody says it is.
Well, I mean, they might agree if the alternative is that their geopolitical rivals force some new replacement for the dollar that's not, if they just replace, the old boss with a new boss. If the choice is no boss, if that happens to make a bunch of cryptocurrency people rich, I don't think they're going to see that as too much of a minus.
I think that's exactly right. I think he's got it spot on there. Look, I'm super excited to see David Schwartz on stage at XRP Las Vegas. It's going to be remarkable. He's so brilliant. and he has such a brilliant mind. And I know that there are many, many new things coming to the XRP ledger that are changing it every day. And I can't wait to hear him talk about it. And I hope you get your tickets so you don't miss it either. Come on in. We're going into the digperspectives.com, into the Freedom Zone. And let me tell you right now, I have found what I believe to be one of the best, most academic breakdowns of the State of the Union from last night, and you would do yourself wise to come in here and hear it, because I don't know of anybody that could break this down to such a degree that I'm about to share with you right here in the Freedom Zone. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. Come on in.